as we jump in here to picks and bans, any comments, and then thoughts on, you know, these interesting matchups where two teammates who arguably have had a ton of practice against one another just through scrimming, naturally, knowing one another's playstyle, probably talking about it, it makes for a very interesting matchup.
100%. Carry on, 40.
There's probably going to be meta within meta within meta. One thing that stands out is based on the pick ban phase, RAISY got the clutch in again, and we saw what he did yesterday with clutch on Awoken, and it's I don't know. I mean, I know they play a lot against each other, but vengeurR has to be careful.
Yeah, I agree. You just know how powerful the clutch is in RAISY's hands, and Awoken is such a great map to use all the functionality that clutch offers. vengeurR, I know, having spoken to him before, says he has something up the sleeve for the clutch. I don't know what that is. I'm not entirely convinced by the Ranger pick, but we'll have to see how that plays out. The rest of the series is fairly standard. Moving on to multiples is probably a little bit worrying from vengeur's perspective. I think the pressure from Anarchy, particularly in RAISY's hands, and the speed of Anarchy can cause Nyx a lot of trouble. I might even be surprised if we get there looking at those picks, though.
Yeah, those map choices were, I don't think it favoured one player massively. Both players are very good at Awoken, very good on Corrupted Keep, so expect the first two maps to be incredible, to say the least. It's going to be very close games. The third one, I would say I would edge it to RAISY, but of course with that first map being the clutch, he got the first ban. Of course he's not going to ban clutch.
All right, well, it looks like we are ready to rock and roll, getting this first match started here early in day 2 of the Quake World Championships. Let's shoot it to our casters, catch up and flee.
Now, it's always exciting to watch RAISY rock that clutch, but if there's any player out there, Flea, that's likely to know this matchup extremely well, surely vengeurR has to be one of the main ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These two have played so many games against each other. They are very familiar with each other's playstyles, their strategies, all the ins and outs of going up against their own teammate. So clearly vengeurR, probably one of the best suited players to actually take on RAISY's clutch, and he is rocking the Ranger, which is still a pretty decent counter pick to the robot. Back in the day he was the go-to because that orb could insta-kill a clutch through his shield. Now of course in the current meta that is no longer possible, but still the orb allows you to escape that shield when it is deployed and also still do a decent chunk of damage through it. So perhaps vengeurR is banking on that to be his saving grace as he uses it immediately to avoid the shield. He needs one more shot, but RAISY will clean it up first. Instant use of the shield right there.
I think all things considered, vengeurR did as much as he possibly could. He stole away the heavy, he hit 2 bonus rails before going down. Now RAISY, not incredibly weak. No, clutch does have a giant stack, but vengeurR is able to really assert himself around the map off the back of how he went down. It's not sometimes about getting the frag, it's about how can I give myself any advantage when I respawn. You can't allow clutch to gain momentum. And speaking of momentum, RAISY pushes forward a little bit, but he's not going to overextend. Nice little cute angle, but it looks like vengeurR was ready for it. Eats a shotgun though. And he's going to go down almost straight away. RAISY off to a flying start. But here comes an opportunity to stabilize. vengeurR gets 1 frag. No damage taken really. But he has to watch out for that spawning stack. The heavy's always more tanky than you expect.
Good use of the orb there by vengeurR, knowing very well that RAISY didn't have the shield wall at the ready, and using that opportunity to get in up close and personal. Now RAISY going up the bounce pad, that is risky. The rockets don't quite cut it. And vengeurR tying things right back up. Now he races to take position of the center area of the map and has to indeed always be careful of that enormous starting stack that RAISY has to work with. Excellent rail pushing him back down. And now it is RAISY trying to collect some of the weapons that he still needs. Manages to pick up the railgun. Next engagement will no doubt revolve around this heavy. RAISY has the better position. The orb will just be used as a juke. As vengeurR vacates the room, doesn't seem like he's in the best position to pick up Mega, misses the rail! And now RAISY is going to capitalize off that situation. Just the stack, the raw force that clutch has to work with.
I do really like that jump pad use that RAISY does here near Super Shotgun, where he does the backwards movement just towards rail. It means that he can't get railed where other champions otherwise would. That movement, not as easy as it might look. vengeurR's going to get a rail, make things 3-3. And what's more, it's just in time as he gets one of the important items. Now, you will notice vengeurR, he is going to hit a ton of rails, because the downside of playing clutch is you are, by all accounts, the easiest champion in the game too here, which is why RAISY plays so fast and aggressive. He has to out-aim you because you're going to hit him, and he knows that.
Good little flick rail, another one to boot, but still, and a third one! vengeurR misses the kill shot right there. I think he would have landed it just before the shield came up, but it is RAISY getting the frag and some good opening damage as well. This is a crucial point in the map. RAISY, for the first time, looking to get a consistent read and control of both of the major items. His stack is enormous. vengeurR has no armor to work with. RAISY should have a pretty good idea of where vengeurR is at, because he knows that his teammate wants to get a hold of those small armors that are so crucial in this phase. He will pick up one of them and immediately escapes again, and RAISY now playing a bit of a stealthy approach, as stealthy as you can be, playing the monster that is Clutch, trying to catch his opponent off guard.
RAISY's in a good position for the Mega once more. The important thing is keeping that stack as high as you possibly can for when the fight inevitably breaks out. You can see that vengeurR's doing an absolutely fantastic job when they inevitably have to start going, I'm going to aim against you. Hopefully you hit me as well. We'll see if it goes all right for you, but a lot of patience here from RAISY now. He's played that game, right? So he's trying to keep as much of this as possible.
Very solid positioning from vengeurR over the past minute or so, after getting fragged and respawning with next to nothing to his name, going up against a Clutch that is fully stacked. 200 points of armor is what RAISY was rocking for a good chunk of that situation, and still vengeurR avoided it perfectly. Out comes the orb, rockets, rails flying around. Not much damage being exchanged though. vengeurR, he needs more, switches to the LG, but the shoddy. RAISY making good use of the shotgun this game. That's his third frag with that weapon, I believe. Very confident in his ability to switch to it when it comes down to the wire, to be able to find a little bit of damage that he needs. And now again, vengeurR has to stabilize. Is in a dire situation.
That's another one for sure.
Yeah.
No way vengeurR's going to survive that one. And
Didn't have his
you always find yourself in that position where you know you have to go down, so you just have to do as much damage as you can to make your next life a little bit easier. And in this case, vengeurR, the LG spawn, happily soaked that one up. And we're going a tiny map. Comeback's always possible. And with the time that's left, all opportunity to do so, but he out-LGs RAISY. And he's able to seize a Mega at the same time, so that is a great start for him.
RAISY a bit too confident in that push, counting on him having done enough damage at his starting stack with just the LG will allow him to push on through. Now vengeurR's caught in a bad spot, and RAISY's just gonna use the mining drill to bully him away from the item. Now vengeurR has been doing a really good job at getting these refrags, knowing, and once again, the ring out coming through. That's exactly the kind of refrag that I'm talking about. vengeurR dies to the shield wall, knows that RAISY won't have it for half a minute or so, and then uses that momentum and just a huge hitbox that he's up against to instantly rush his opponent and get the frag. Now that works, of course, but the problem is that you're constantly trailing behind your opponent, waiting for him to burn his ability up close with the LG, tying it right back up. vengeurR, this is an opportunity for him. He should be able to establish some decent control here. Mega's about to spawn, but RAISY has got the high ground.
And you'll notice this is exactly why RAISY is using so much of his dash movement off these jump pads and stuff like that, because you are a large target, and LG's going to collect a lot, and it's going to knock you off the map. I really think that kind of situation was not really one that surprised RAISY. It's okay, fair enough, yeah, it's Clutch, that happens. So he has to air dash whenever possible to avoid that situation. But the movement is demanding, very taxing for a lot of players. It really can't be said enough how tricky at this level Clutch surely has to be to play against someone like vengeurR. RAISY, he takes the Mega, but he's got no armor, so the LG is going to shred. And that's the distract. RAISY looks to one side temporarily, but vengeurR is able to take the lead, and now one of the first times in this map, he is the one that's a little bit more comfortable. Oh, the combo! So good.
Beautiful rocket into rail right there. Now vengeurR had to give up the heavy. Fortunately for him, RAISY was essentially off spawn after taking a fair bit of damage, so he doesn't benefit too much from picking up both of the major items in a row now, and vengeurR is still in fighting shape, but he does not want to get caught out in a bad position. RAISY did have to use the shield wall, so vengeurR doesn't have to be as careful as he might otherwise be. Tribaled, chipping away at his opponent's stack. Smart decision from vengeurR not to stick around for the heavy right there. Does take a bad rail on the exit though.
RAISY's taking a bunch of damage, but that shield, you can hear it. That means they're going to go in. Lovely rocket jump from vengeurR. Even nicer thanks to Ranger's less self-damage. I've always loved vengeur's rocket movement.
Yeah. He is one of the few people in the league that just really focus on those horizontal rocket jumps just to build themselves speed and get around. Many should take example of that. Of course, it is risky, but when you're running the Ranger, you take so little self-damage that extra speed can make it absolutely worth it. Good rockets, but vengeurR caught in a bad position. The rocket is gonna whiff.
No way he survives this. He's been
4
able to
HP.
somehow put himself one shot away from taking out RAISY with that much of a stack difference. That is why vengeurR is such a dangerous player. The ability to play when he's outstacked significantly is something that he just excels at, Flea.
1 minute.
And he was actually the one to better recover instantly after that engagement. Now RAISY though, we've entered the last minute of this map. All the pressure is on the giant robot from Hungary. vengeurR clearly switching things up to a more passive playstyle right now. I don't think he wants to make a move on a major item unless he finds the perfect opportunity to do so. Meanwhile, RAISY stalking his prey. vengeurR clearly has no idea where RAISY is at. RAISY's down towards the heavy, but still vengeurR spamming some rockets. He's gonna hear the robot now. Final chase.
Rockets come out. I mean, he's definitely running out of time, so no doubt RAISY's going to have to try and be crazy aggressive here. Gets a good shout out. That's absolutely going to be a free frag, and now that is the even situation. We're definitely going to go into a sudden death, and this is bad news because now he's been able to take the Mega as well. He's going to prioritize these hourglasses, get that shield wall as much as possible. 4 of them flee. He's absolutely going to have a shield wall before this fight comes to an end, unless these rockets hit the money, but they don't. And this is potentially the chance for RAISY to bring this one out. The shield wall comes in, all in, shotgun for days, and RAISY steals away the map at the last second. That was a good game.
Very good indeed. vengeurR had a real opportunity of actually running away with the win right there, but I think that he overstayed his welcome towards the end, and he used his trump card, that juke orb, a little bit too early. You could tell he was hanging on to it, right? If RAISY finds me, I'm gonna throw my orb left, I'm gonna run right, get through the teleporter, completely confuse my opponent, and then I can teleport to whichever side of the map he is not on. But unfortunately for him, he just popped that a moment too soon, and so by the time that he had to make the decision between orbing or not, RAISY hadn't even shown himself. Then RAISY comes through the teleporter, and vengeurR kinda caught in a bad position, wasted that orb a moment too early, and RAISY allowed himself to get back into a tied game. Really close series though, and I think vengeurR deserves props for keeping it that close up against RAISY on clutch.
We have seen many times the dominance that RAISY can put forward in a final setting throughout Pro League with Clutch. A lot of players, when he uses Clutch against them, can't even come close to putting a dent into it, so the fact that vengeurR made things so close and was on the verge of winning the map, can't really say it surprises me too much. He is a talented player through the roof. But I mean, the matchup played down to the numbers though. vengeurR did about 2,000 more damage to RAISY than RAISY did to him. The nature of these large champions, you're gonna hit them, and RAISY plays around that with the knowledge and fearlessness that you really have to have. If you're going to be timid and playing Clutch, it just doesn't work, because, you know, if you're not going to go all in these big situations, you're not really going to be able to last, you know? Even if you can't get that frag, you know, you might be so weak that you just get refragged. But RAISY plays Clutch with such an insane aggressive style. But it's his movement. His movement is so insane with this champion. And on a map like Awoken, you can get stuck on everything.
Absolutely, and just to add what you just said, RAISY playing Clutch on Awoken, we saw it yesterday against Tox, and he absolutely dismantled the Terminator. So for vengeurR to stand up to that extent, absolutely phenomenal play. But that map is over and done and dusted. We're moving into map 2, which is Corrupted Keep, where we're going to see RAISY rock the Doomslayer against vengeurR's Eisen.
Now, we haven't really touched on this much today, but we absolutely must bring it up for those that maybe you missed Stage 3 finals, the last finals that we had online. But the important thing to talk about RAISY is that he's definitely in a kind of redemption arc at the moment, right? Because RAISY was known for so long as being this hyper-consistent player. You can always expect him in top 4, top 3, grand finals even. And in Stage 3, he fell way shorter than he ever has and anyone expected. And he was disappointed with that. Of course he was, because he is one of the best in the world. This tournament, this weekend, is his chance to return to glory. And if he gets this victory here versus vengeurR, I mean, vengeur's one of the players that was able to bring it to him, so...
Absolutely, and we're starting things off on vengeur's point of view. The ice and, of course, the turrets. Deployable piece of information and damage that can split your opponent's attention in these crucial fights. Going up against the Doomslayer, who, of course, has that added degree of mobility. I like the play from vengeurR right there. Prioritizing the heavy machine gun just so he has a consistent way of dealing damage at a distance. There's no railgun on Corrupted Keep, so you have to make do. That's exactly what he did right there. vengeurR coming out on top of that engagement, doing most of the damage. Good split, or rather a lack of split between the items. vengeurR gets himself Mega. RAISY on the heavy. Means, of course, that neither player can start to establish a solid rotation even if they win and come out on top of this next engagement. The other person should at least be able to steal away one of the items. So we're in the early stages, no one really setting up for that consistent rotation, that full-on dominant control just yet.
But as is the nature of Corrupted Keep, it's always a matter of time until that actually becomes the case. The question is which player is going to get that early upper hand. Looks like RAISY's going to try and force his hand in here. vengeurR takes a bunch of opening damage. There is a light to retreat to, so he could be a lot weaker, all things considered. It is going to be RAISY having to double back into Nail Gun Room. Lots of lights to recharge the batteries, and it kind of looks like we've had a bit of a disengage again, back to where things began. But it looks like vengeurR wants a little bit more. Trying to get some info. Both players just making their presence not known. And here comes the next set of items. Looks like they're going to pretty much take one each again. A fight taking place into the middle. Neither player doing too bad for weapons. However, losing the armor, this is where vengeurR has to worry a little bit. But his rockets are so good. Can he finish it? Can he at least survive here? Looks like he's been able to do enough damage to at least force RAISY to retreat. And the second he ran out of armor, that was the right thing to do.
RAISY is going to be happy with that one, and he is going to pressure that too, knowing that he first picked up the small armor below, then looped back around, picked up the other small armor as well, and now vengeurR is going to go... No! He's actually going to clutch it out somehow with the heavy machine gun at close range. I was about to call that in RAISY's favor, but vengeurR, really gutsy play right there, just rushing out onto the Mega, knowing that he has a slight chance of winning that one, and even if he doesn't, he wants to cull his opponent's stack. Nice little trap from the Italian as well.
I like the idea, though. You'll notice RAISY double jumping around that corner just in case someone was waiting on the rocket launcher to really reduce the splash damage that he takes. It's the strength of the Doomslayer. He's strong against rocket launcher, but he's weak against lightning gun, and it all comes down to double jump.
Now RAISY definitely has the upper hand right now. Also has a decent delay between the two items, around 5 seconds. This is a crucial moment for vengeurR. He needs to do that kind of chip damage and keep up the pressure. And indeed, he does manage to secure the heavy for himself. Rockets from below, though. RAISY overextending right there. I can see what he was up to. He wanted to, of course, get both of the items, knowing that vengeurR was low. But vengeurR set up such a defensively strong position with the turret and the rockets that RAISY just lost so much of his stack trying to get into the room. Good reactive defensive play from the Italian there.
And if we're looking at stack alone, it looks like vengeurR's pretty comfortable here. RAISY is in a better position to take this heavy. vengeurR has no choice but to concede, but the confidence to do the damage to really undo the benefit that comes from it. He's in a better position for Mega. They're going to take one each, a little bit of the nail gun spam, but it's going to be nothing compared to the lightning gun from vengeurR, who soaks up another frag. Now, when we're talking about items, heavy will be next on the agenda. vengeurR trying to set up. He knows that you want a rocket launcher, and at the very least, knowing he's nearby, should be a free pickup on this heavy, which is about to spawn, and the frag makes things even better. And this is a nice little solid lead from vengeurR, and there is a delay between the two items enough that he can start to run this complete rotation. Now this is where the snowball effect of Corrupted Keep can finally start to apply, because you have one player who's controlling not only the two major items, but you'll notice the light near nail gun as well. So vengeurR, it's not just that he's taking all the items, it's that RAISY can't take a single one, Flea.
The silver lining for RAISY is that he did manage to pick up the LG, but that won't help much when vengeurR catches him out like that. Weapon denial on this map is also key. And every single time that RAISY makes a move onto the LG, as he is doing once again, his opponent vengeurR is right there at the ready to punish it, because it's such a tricky escape to make. vengeurR knows he has a stack advantage, knows he has the weapon advantage, is just gonna push on through, bully his opponent into the floor. RAISY will fall once again, and vengeurR, as you just pointed out, perfectly cycling the small armors as well. He's going to give up that second small one, leaving it to RAISY because he knows he keeps his eyes on the grand prize, which is the heavy. This is looking so good for the Italian stallion. RAISY struggling tremendously. He does manage to do a lot of damage time and time again, but vengeurR is positioning himself so beautifully for every one of these fights that he constantly has resources available to stack right back up. And look at this, perfect timing on the small armors as well.
And that was a painful time for RAISY to go down. Very smart from vengeurR. So instead of taking the Mega, he pushes forward first to get the frag. On top of taking out RAISY, there's an even larger delay between the two items now, so the chance of RAISY being able to spawn and quickly run in there and take away the Mega, when there's an extra 5 seconds that used to exist, I mean, it's not going to be as likely that RAISY's able to do that. Further establishing vengeurR's full control. And RAISY, he has to focus on getting the right weapons and some miracle rockets to put a dent in this stack, so he can finally try and equalize, because right now vengeurR controls pretty much 3/4 of this map.
I think RAISY is going to want to focus on taking fights at close quarters, because there with the double jump on Doom and rockets, he has an advantage. vengeurR though landing some perfectly placed shots from a distance, constantly culling RAISY's stack. But still, I don't think that RAISY has it in it right now to win many of these long-distance heavy machine gun or LG fights, and he wants to use the passive, the double jump that comes with the Doomslayer in these closer engagements to take his opponent by surprise and dish out a ton of damage at just the right time. And this might be an opportunity to start mounting a comeback. RAISY for the first time in minutes with a stack advantage, but vengeurR though defensively strong as always. And RAISY has to content himself with picking up the Mega instead. Just look at this catch-up. Every single time RAISY shows his face, even in these favorable situations for him, vengeurR just sends him spiraling back with defensive plays. He's actually gotten the stack advantage. RAISY's in trouble. He might actually drop down dead. vengeurR deciding not to push too much though. He knows 2.5 minutes left on the clock. He should not force any engagements that aren't favorable for him. Even if he wins that fight, what does he get? One more frag on the board, sure, but he's already got a comfortable lead. He has so much more to lose than to gain from taking these kinds of fights, and he's playing this perfectly right now.
And he's taking positions where he has a lot of coverage too, a lot of vision on where RAISY's going to be, prioritizing the spam from the nails, prioritizing the kind of snipe factor of the heavy machine gun, out-damaging RAISY, and at this point RAISY's taking items now because vengeurR is allowing it to be so. 2 minutes on the clock. RAISY has to get 6 frags. It is possible on Corrupted Keep. It is one of the few maps where you can do that, but there is a lot of work to do against vengeurR, who just looks unfazed by this. So this is going to be a pickup. RAISY just collected the Mega, so the heavy should be pretty attractive for him as well, but it is the matter of time. This is something that is not his friend right now.
Indeed so. Barely 90 seconds left to work with, and vengeurR is proving to be a slippery snake.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's possible, it's possible. Look at RAISY's positioning, backing up, forcing out the respawn. But vengeurR makes the right decision, going up the stairs rather than staying down where RAISY was waiting for him. Good plays from the Hungarian though, very clever. Holding back just ever so slightly just to force out the respawn in a favorable spot.
Wait a minute.
Once again, catch up, this is so possible still.
Absolutely, and one of the big things is because we're on Corrupted Keep. RAISY's keep, in fact. So it will be quite poetic if RAISY's able to pull off this crazy comeback on one of his strongest maps, but vengeurR definitely outstacking him for the time being, but not anymore thanks to the Mega. RAISY's gonna push, and he knows he has to. vengeurR, if he keeps going down like this, he's not gonna be able to run the point-blank super shotgun. That was cannon as hell. No pun intended. And now RAISY has every opportunity to take this, and he even has time to wait around for this heavy. 30 seconds for 2 frags. It's difficult, but it's possible.
He has time, but not a whole lot of it. He needs to get a frag in the next 10 seconds or he will be unable to secure.
I want to know if chat
well.
believes, Flea. I want to know if the people believe in it. 15 seconds. He can't find him. And vengeurR, perfect place to hide.
That is probably the best spot to run down the clock on this map. That hallway, the banana down towards the shotgun is such a powerful defensive position because you've got so many escape routes and your opponent has to run all the way around to catch you off guard. So vengeurR playing that perfectly. RAISY, admirable attempt at a comeback, definitely signs of life there still, and he brought it pretty close, but by that point vengeur's lead was already insurmountably high and it ended up winning the map for him. 1-1, we're going into our decider catch-up.
We are indeed, and that map is going to be Molten Falls. So we've had 2 maps so far that are very small, but as we now jump ship into almost the complete opposite effect, I'm just excited to see how this one concludes. There's just so many storylines going on at once over the course of the finals, and I think the story of the Maestro boys is absolutely one of the larger ones, because it's layered. You have vengeurR, the rising star, who has forever been the rising star. It was QuakeCon last year where he looked really strong and definitely, I think, underperformed on the show day, and he'll be the first to admit that. But he's been this rise to power in the online world, but he's getting progressively better and better, but he's yet to get a big win. And I know he would love for this to be that great victory, that he's definitely possible. He's definitely able to get, sorry, it's the sentence I was trying to say there. But then on the flip side of that, RAISY, very similar situation, but he is just looking to redeem himself. So I think no matter how this next map goes, I think people are going to be feeling pretty good about it.
Absolutely, and if you look back at vengeur's previous performances, Stage 2 finals he made top 5, Stage 3 finals he made top 4, so he is definitely improving and he wants that big break. He wants to be in the grand finals for the first time in his career in the Quake Pro League, and looking at him play on that previous game, I think he definitely has it in him, but of course there are several huge obstacles in the way before he can make it to that point, and the first one of which is of course his teammate RAISY. Now the next map is going to be Molten Falls, as you pointed out, very different pacing compared to Awoken and Corrupted Keep that are much smaller ones, whereas Molten Falls has a lot of these long open lines of sight and large open rooms, and we're actually going to see a battle of the lights, Nyx going up against Anarchy.
So it's going to be RAISY rocking the Anarchy and vengeurR with the Nyx. Nyx is such a good pick for someone like vengeurR, who is already comfortable, even if he's not in full control. He's happy to take kind of like the base default stack and work with it. We saw shades of that on something like Awoken, where RAISY's clutch was almost completely fully stacked. vengeurR was close to death, yet somehow in the fight near Mega, he's able to make RAISY come off worse in that fight. Almost no player in the community, I think, is able to do that as good as vengeurR can. And Nyx is great for that as well, because, okay, he's not going to have a large stack, he accepts that, but now he's got a Ghost Walk. So if he's already playing this strong, solid game of just defaults, and he has the invulnerability, I think that's going to be quite the effective tool for him. And it has proven to be in a competitive setting, but it's all going to be riding on this next map, the final map to decide who's going to move on in this upper bracket. The Maestro matchup, vengeurR and RAISY. Let's get the show on the road and find out who's going to win it, Flea.
Absolutely, whoever wins this will advance to the EU semi-finals. Whoever loses still has a shot in the lower bracket of this tournament, as we're kicking things off on vengeur's perspective, rocking the Nyx. He's got that wall jump, that vertical mobility, as well as, of course, the Ghost Walk. Very useful for both aggressive pushes, as well as those defensive get-out-of-jail-free cards. Now RAISY, the Anarchy, much more horizontal mobility. He's faster than Nyx, he can turn quicker than his opponent can, and of course that injection allows him to build his stack higher and always have that extra little boost of health at the ready when he needs it. This should be a pretty fast-paced game.
For this opening damage, that is the safety Ghost Walk. The rail is the maximum way to get this damage. RAISY wants to get out of there. His lack of armor is always going to be a problem. Light champions and no armor is not exactly a good combination. But on the subject of delays, as we always have to talk about on a map like this, the Heavy is going to be next with plenty of time for vengeurR to go and take this Mega. If he's quick, he is going to be potentially, you know, the matter of speed that RAISY is going to have. And he's in position for it first, which is really good. He knows that vengeurR is going to take the Heavy, so RAISY puts himself in a position to control the Mega instead. So pretty even split, all things considered.
Absolutely. There's around a 10-second delay between the items, though Heavy will be the first prize to reappear. RAISY with a stack advantage, but vengeurR has got the better position. RAISY down below should be the one to secure himself the item. LG sends him backwards, but still the pressure is real, and vengeurR, he cannot contest, has to surrender full control to RAISY. Luckily for him, that rail didn't connect, takes a second one though. Few resources at the ready. Neither player looking all that good. vengeurR definitely coming out better given that RAISY was the one to secure both of the major items just moments ago. But he cannot still put in anything towards establishing control for himself. RAISY's defensive rails and those rockets have just been working in his favor tremendously. He has to buy this time first.
Had to plan B his retreat though. He'd just soaked up a bunch of the lights that existed around the railgun. So he had to be pretty far out, and that was a really good ghost walk to save his skin. The question is he buying time with it? Or is RAISY going to still be able to take him out all the same? Looks like he gets the perfect call out. Cases it down and gets himself a frag. RAISY looking to push in here, potentially, depending on the spawn that vengeurR had. vengeurR once more with no armor. That is always going to be something that you have to worry about these lighter champions, especially when the opponent is stacked as hell.
The shotgun, man, it just melts the light champions like it's no one's business. And now RAISY with full control of vengeurR. He has to just bide his time. He needs small armors before he can do anything. Doesn't even have the Ghost Walk up. The Hourglass will help him have that ability at the ready, so he should at least be able to escape the next engagement. But that doesn't bring him any closer to establishing control or cementing some kind of good positioning on the map. It is RAISY who dictates the flow of this game so far, and vengeurR just has to roll with the punches and pick up scraps wherever he can. Good push from RAISY, even if it doesn't amount to much or doesn't manage to force out the Ghost Walk, he is keeping vengeurR in check.
Nice little trap there from vengeurR. He's done a ton of damage. RAISY forced to retreat. He only just became not railable too, with that 85. And the longer this match goes on, the stronger Anarchy will become thanks to that injection. Oh, 2 rails in a row. vengeurR's put himself in control. That third one was risque, and he gets it. Well done for the Italian.
That shows an incredible amount of confidence on vengeurR's part. Just to drop down with the railgun for the kill shot, knowing very well that if he misses that, he could be in so much trouble. Gutsy, confident, calculated play from the Italian stallion right there with those perfect, wonderful rails. And that is something that can change really quickly when you're looking at a matchup between 2 light champions, right? Even if one of them gets full control of both Mega and Heavy, 2 rails will cripple you just like that. Whereas if you're playing a medium or a heavy champion, you are much more resistant to that kind of damage. Now, vengeurR.
Ooh.
Yeah, good rockets! There we go.
Huge chunk of damage right there. And vengeurR's rockets, never get tired of watching them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And as we now verge on that 5-minute warning, RAISY.
5-minute warning.
Yeah, that rocket jump was scoured out there by RAISY, I think. But he's in a scary position. He can't really assert himself on this heavy. It's a little bit easier for him to do so now he has a light armor, but looks like he's not particularly interested in stopping vengeurR from taking this. And now, as vengeurR has a massive stack, plenty of ammo, plenty of weapons, and a Ghost Walk, he's pretty damn equipped for a fight and that return rail. You have to be able to return fire on these rails, but the final one doesn't. The Mega means he can finally tank one more. That would have been a kill shot.
Yep. Mega spawning just in time for vengeurR right there. But RAISY, this is the start of a potential comeback, giving up positioning to cement himself on the nail gun instead, knowing that that will give him the best angle to drop down onto the heavy when it does spawn. And it is vengeurR once again out of control. Even though he has the lead, it is very clear that RAISY has been the one to dictate the pace and the flow of this map for most of it.
But it's something that feels like vengeurR is comfortable with that. The amount of times we watch vengeurR play against the best players in the world, he's playing a very reactive game, entirely around what the opponent is doing, and Molten's quite a good map for that. Right where he's positioned here, so much audio information that you have. He has the timing, he has the information over where RAISY is, and let's not forget Anarchy's hoverboard is a noisy boy.
Indeed, definitely one of the louder champions, one of the easier ones to hear and locate when you are playing against him. Now, I think we're gonna see things slow down a bit for these last few minutes. Of course, RAISY wants to continue applying pressure. vengeurR, good use of the Ghost Walk. You very often see players hang on until the very last moment before they pop it, but vengeurR wants to be proactive in using that ability of his. He doesn't want to wait until he's already taken damage and give RAISY the opportunity to catch him off guard. He just wants to pop it the moment he gets out of control or out of position in these bad fights.
Always love the way vengeurR is positioned though. There's always tons of stack to recharge if he does take a rail himself. Wait a minute. Bold play. The aggressive Ghost Walk. That's actually, I think, the first time in 7 minutes we've seen vengeurR use the Ghost Walk for a big push. Is it going to pay off? Looks like it might do. RAISY is able to dodge a few of them, but he is on death's door currently. And the fact that he's just used his injection means he has no choice but to rely on the lights. He is going to get a mega, but there's not a lot of armor nearby. So if RAISY takes a single bad rocket, that entire stack is going to go down. vengeurR looking to try and shut down this armor. No, sir, I do not want you to take it. But with the heavy about to spawn, it does look like RAISY's going to be able to soak that one up. vengeurR, the aggressive Ghost Walk, came so close to working out Flea, but not quite.
I have some concerns about vengeurR deciding not to push that one. RAISY was so low. If he had just jumped around the corner with the super shotgun, that would have 100% been his frag to boot. But instead, he allowed RAISY to recover, gave RAISY an angle at getting that mega health while he just stuck behind, even though he had the much larger stack. And in doing so, he's actually given RAISY a significant lifeline and an opportunity to get back into this game and tie things up. vengeurR, I do think he should have taken that fight, pushed a bit further. I know that, of course, when you're in the lead and there's only 3 minutes left, you don't want to put yourself in these bad positions, but still, this is giving RAISY a lot to work with as we enter the final stages of this map.
Running away from an anarchy of RAISY's caliber when you have 1.5 minutes left on the clock and you're like, champion! RAISY did in fact run down near rail. vengeurR, I think, trying to play it safe, but giving his own position away. The rail, is that enough to force RAISY away? They disengage. 1 minute 10 left. Remember, final map. If it all rides on this one frag, then so be it, says vengeurR, who looks to play this defensive game. The Rockets, they don't really hit for much damage at all. 10 here, 20 there. And now, with less than a minute on the clock, RAISY has to make something happen now. vengeurR, 10 seconds away from Ghost Walk. He doesn't have the tools to survive, but he gets a beautiful LG to push RAISY away. I love that weapon choice.
Yeah, very good read from vengeurR, just completely expecting RAISY to go for the aggressive rocket jump to get him into his face. And so he just used the LG to knock him down a peg and send him flying back down. Now vengeurR, he's feeling confident. He's got the Ghost Walk at the ready. I love the teleporter play right there. Doesn't even wait for RAISY to go through. And even does a little bit of damage before jumping through. Now RAISY, this is crunch time. Catch up. This is desperation.
They always seem to have these insanely close matches. Wait a minute! He doubles back towards the teleporter and RAISY was lying in wait. This could be the moment. The double teleporter comes out again, but the Rockets are good. But can he finish the job? 5 seconds, RAISY. He has no choice but to push. He took a little bit of extra time, and now he can't! The heavy seals the deal, and that is gonna be the win for vengeurR. GG's all round. And, I mean, can we say we were surprised about how things went down there? RAISY, I mean, very little damage in that match. Not an opportunity to get much of it at all. Only 1.6k.
vengeurR played the Nyx to perfection. He was so evasive, and even though RAISY was in control for most of the map, he actually didn't manage to do much with it at all. Yes, he landed a few shots here and there, got himself that one frag, but overall, vengeurR constantly getting the better positioning, always keeping an exit route at the ready, so that he could constantly avoid most of the really bad damage.
So we have plenty to say about that one, and while we set things up for the next set of matches, we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Quake World Championships Day 2. Be back soon.